Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Coram and Ken Shreve here with a breakdown of the action in today's session, where we saw the major indexes rally bullishly off their lows today, Ken.
I think the Nasdaq Composite was down about 2.3% intraday when Microsoft was selling off on a weak earnings report. But Nasdaq paired a lot of those losses, so this confirmed uptrend is still looking pretty good here. Three stocks we're going to look at today will be in the drilling group: Noble, ticker NE. Boeing reported earnings today. That was down sharply. It ended up having a really solid outside day and heavy volume. And finally, Royal Gold, which RGLD, which passed a buy point, but just waiting for volume to come into the stock.
All right, well, let's get right to it with a look at the major indexes. It was a mildly mixed day where we finished. In the green, we had the Dow and Russell 2000 slightly positive today. The Dow up just a fraction, the Russell up 0.1%. On the downside, the S&P down a fraction, and the Nasdaq down about 0.2%. But like you mentioned, Ken, a sharp rally off the lows you can see here on the daily chart, and even more clearly, you could see the action on this intraday chart here.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, just another reminder that there are buyers around, and really strengthening the argument that maybe a lot of bad news has been priced into this market. When it came to Microsoft, their revenue missed expectations. And their outlook wasn't very good for the current quarter, and that you can see fueled a big downdraft for the stock. But it rallied back and ended up having a pretty decent close. So just another sign that, like I said, buyers are still around, and we had a sort of a confirmed uptrend back on January 6th, and fairly limited distribution up to this point, and that's made it pretty easy for stocks to make some headway.
Yeah, and just to emphasize, something that we've been saying is, can we shake off bad news? And that would really strengthen the case for this market rally having further room to run. And it feels like, at least for today, mission accomplished. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the market certainly shrugged off some seemingly bad news from Microsoft. But as I've been pointing out recently, you would look at the way the Nasdaq has come off its lows since January 6th. There's been a lot of volume behind these up days, and that's a good sign. It tells us that maybe some institutions are starting to put some positions on here and maybe putting some money to work. And again, just higher volume declines, distribution. We just haven't seen much of it. We just had one distribution day for the Nasdaq headed into today. We had two on the S&P 500, but one of those declines was only 0.2 of 1%. So really not seeing much distribution and higher volume gains, and market shrugging off bad news. So it's looking pretty good here.
So the S&P above the 200-day line, still right around that round number at 4,000, on the verge of clearing a trend line from those highs here. So we'll have to see what the rest of the week brings. And then in terms of the NASDAQ, it's getting right up to that 40-week line, a little bit more space between where it is in the 200-day line. But that 200-day, as Justin was pointing out on the IBD Live show this morning, coincides with the NASDAQ's highs from late November and December as well. And if we go all the way back, there are a number of areas where this touches right around that 11,500-ish area. So it seems like on the upside for the NASDAQ, that'll be the next level to watch.
Yeah, no doubt. It kind of sticks out like a sore thumb here. So it's obviously a key potential resistance level to watch. And we do have a whole bunch of large cap technology earnings coming up. We've got Tesla after the close today, We've got Lam Research also reporting in the chip sector, Teradyne. So lots of earnings reports, and that's not even counting, Google, Amazon, and Apple next week. So if the Nasdaq, can continue to rally and really take out this 200-day line with conviction and start to trade above that, I mean, you just have to feel even better about this uptrend.
All right, and let's take a quick look at the Dow and the Russell 2000. So 0 DJIA for the Dow here, right around these converging moving averages, just shy of that 34,000 level. And IWM, which tracks the Russell 2000 small cap index, right at resistance around 189. It's at closed at 187.43 today, this ETF. But if you look at the recent highs as well as those highs, once again, from November and December, it's right there, right on the verge of breaking out.
It really is, and I think you have to let's give the market the benefit of the doubt here because this is a good technical setup. Last week the IWM came down to that 180 level, which basically corresponded right around that 50-day moving average and just right around where the 200-day is, and it's rallied nicely. Rallied nicely on Friday and has been holding gains this week. So this is a pretty decent technical setup to me as well.
And let's take a look underneath the surface as well at 2 ETFs before we get to those 3 stocks you mentioned, Ken. So here's XLF, the financial sector spider ETF for the S&P 500, up about 0.8% today, so outperforming the broad market.
Yeah, and I just wanted to talk about XLF, and we'll take a look at XRT in just a little moment, just as a way to reinforce that breadth is really starting to expand here. So that's good to see. I mean, we've seen some good leadership in the technology sector from the semiconductor stocks, but and people saying, well, how can retail stocks be doing so well when there's all this concerns about a slowdown in consumer spending and weakness in the economy later this year? But the retailers continue to act well, and even the financials, even as the 10-year yield kind of just comes down and can't get out of its own way here, but financials continue to perform well without rising interest rates.
Yeah, sectors to watch for sure. And now let's take a look at a oil driller. This is Noble in E. Can one you have a close eye on as it works on a handle here right around that 40 price level?
Yeah, it doesn't not quite ready to move yet because as the market was improving, this started to come off highs, and no volume was never really came into the stock today. So this is just a handle taking shape. Again, Noble was up above last week's highs, and then it just kind of faded off highs a little bit. But like the setup here, it's just a nice a cup with handle base with a 41.60 entry, and you've got the great annual earnings estimate here, and
Right.
pretty good growth in recent quarters as well, and a strong industry group ranking number 12 out of 197.
Yep, I concur. All right, now let's go to Boeing, ticker BA, closing in the green today with an upside reversal off of its 21-day line. It did issue its quarterly report as well here as we continue to see a lot of earnings come through. We'll also get Ken's quick reaction to Tesla, see how that's trading here in the early going after the bell, but it looks like revenue up 35% here for Boeing. And this stock has been on such a strong move, so maybe extended at these levels, but a bullish reversal today, no doubt.
Yeah, and actually what I like about the fact is when the stock initially broke out over that 179.32 pivot, volume rolled into the stock. Yeah, right on that day there, very good. And then it just kind of rode its short-term moving averages higher. And to me, this looks like it's just forming another handle. So if we switch over to the weekly chart, yeah, you could see an alternate entry here pretty soon. So like the way that it consolidated last week, and it seems intent on maybe trying to move above that recent high. So I would interpret this type of action as just another kind of handle area, and if volume trends continue to stay positive in Boeing, it could have a shot to break out over that recent high.
Okay, and last but not least, Royal Gold, RGLD. One that we want to take a look at that extended its gains, breaking out above a handle from a pretty big base here, up 2.4%. Volume just slightly above average today. But this gold stock has really been on a nice move since the November earnings report came out. A strong move off those lows.
Yeah, probably the best entry here is when it crossed 116.04 several weeks ago, but it's been doing a good job of holding gains, and you can see pattern recognition has identified another kind of handle area here, and the stock broke out today, and the issue is you finally volume rolled in today, came in higher than the prior 4 sessions, but again we're talking about an ETF here, or excuse me, a RGLD, which is on a 5-session win streak. And even though it's still in that 5% buy zone, really volume did not really come into the stock. It came in a little bit today, just at about average, but strong volume always makes for a solid foundation for breakouts, and just not seeing it yet with Royal Gold. So even though you've got the weak dollar that's boosting a lot of these gold stocks, I'd be careful with Royal Gold just because it's just been kind of moving higher in light volume. So good example of a breakout today because it crossed a buy point, but still waiting for volume to come into the stock. Want to be preferable to see some conviction behind the buying.
Yeah, we gotta point out those warts too, right? And I know something that you like looking at is the accumulation distribution rating. B minus, not terrible, but also if you just look at the volume profile over the last, year or so, it's mainly those red volume spikes that stand out.
Yeah. I mean, this one could definitely use more signs of accumulation. Going back to the daily chart again, it just kind of looks like when a stock starts moving in very weak volume, it's almost like it's kind of wedging higher. So it's just kind of crossing a buy point. And like I said, it was good to see volume pick up the pace today compared to the prior 4 sessions. But I'd just be wary of low volume breakouts like this.
Yeah, well, gold related stocks, mining, metals names, definitely an area we need to be keeping tabs on. So thanks for a look at this stock. Maybe it's not quite a gem. We can't say look at this gem, but
If it had heavy
we'll have
volume,
to
if
find
it
it.
had heavy
Yeah.
volume, it would really be glittering. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. I love it. All right. Well, let's take a quick look at how Tesla is acting after the bell. Not much action just quite yet, but we will have our coverage and reaction and analysis to the earnings coming up tomorrow morning on IBD Live, but also in the meantime on investors.com, our earnings coverage in article form. So we definitely hope you check that out. And Ed's futures column, I'm sure he's got some things to say about the Tesla report as well. So check it out. And also IBD Live, I know this will be a topic of discussion, Ken.
Oh, no doubt about it. I'll be on the show tomorrow doing those news headlines. So we'll talk about Tesla. It looks like they have reported stock not moving much in after hours, but we'll see if things pick up.
Okay. It looks like it was an earnings beat here. Revenue looked like it was a slight beat as well. So we'll have to see. I know on the call, because Ed let us know, and what typically happens is there are things that are said on the call that aren't just in that report that comes out, that you get all those details. So looking forward to seeing how all of that shakes out. All right, everyone, that is it for today. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow morning on IBD Live, investors.com/IBD Live for all the details on that. Have a good one.